Hey guys, so a friend of mine just recently picked up this new to him 997.1 Carerra 4S, and well, it's got 152,000 miles on it, so it's time for a little bit of just routine maintenance, and we're just going to start with a simple oil change on this guy. So let's head around back. Alright, so now that we're around the back at the engine, let's go ahead and start by taking off the oil fill cap, and because this is an aftermarket intake, I'm just going to support it as I unscrew it. Alright, we are underneath the car now, and you can see right there, kind of close to the center of the oil pan, we have an 8mm hex drain plug, and over to the right, a little bit further away, is the oil filter. So we're going to start by taking our 8mm hex and unscrewing that drain plug to let the oil all come out. So I'm going to move my drain bucket into position, and then get my ratcheting wrench with the 8mm hex, and I like to put a little bit of plastic over that, just because if you're using a motorized one like this, like when motor oil gets all in there, it really gets in there, and it's kind of a pain for it to all to weep out and wait and clean. So I usually just wrap it with a bit of old plastic bag, and that helps keep the oil out of the mechanism. Okay, now that the oil's pretty much done draining out, I'm just going to take a quick rag and wipe up a little bit here. Then we'll go and grab the drain plug and put a new sealing washer on there. And then we're just going to put this up and get this started by hand. Make sure it's threaded. Then we can go ahead and take our 8mm hex and proceed to tighten it. And then we can set this to final torque. So we're going to take that 8mm hex, put it in our torque wrench, and we're going to torque this to 50 Newton meters or 37 foot-pounds. Okay, now that we've got the drain plug back on, let's go ahead and undo the oil filter housing. And for that, I like to use just a oil filter housing wrench. This one's made by Schwaben. You can see the part number here. And I believe it's about 74 millimeters across in diameter. So I'm just going to do that to use it to get this thing started. But I'm not going to spin this off all the way right now, and that's because we're under the car, and when we take this off, I would expect some oil to come out with it. So do yourself a favor, grab a plastic bag, put it around there, so that you can just let this whole assembly fall into the bag as you unscrew it. Okay, so this oil filter, imagine this is just a big cup and all of that is filled with oil. So what I did is I took it and I put it in my catch basin, and I just dumped it all out. And you can see, that's how much oil there was in there. So just be a little bit careful with it after you take it off the car. Okay, so now we have to take the filter out of the filter housing. Once again, I'm doing this all in this bag because sometimes when you pull the filter out, it likes to pop and shoot oil places. So this is just to, really contain the mess. So you can see there, took a little bit of force to pull the filter out, but because we did it in the bag, we're all right. And then I'm just gonna leave it in this bag because this is what my county gives me to recycle it in. All right, now what we'll do is we'll remove the O-ring from this, and I like to use a little pick tool just to get under there, pop it off. And then we can go take our new O-ring and put it on. And there's enough residual oil on here, you can just spread some along the outside if you like. Then we just take the oil filter and we can just pop it straight into the housing. It'll snap with a click. It doesn't matter which side's up or down. So just put that in there, press till it snaps, we're good to go. Okay, now we're going to put the oil filter and filter housing back into the car, but if you recall, there was a bunch of oil in here that we poured out when we took this off the car, and we're going to want to prime this with oil before we put it into the car. So I will take my oil and I will just pour this in here till it's almost full. Alright, now we'll go ahead and take the oil filter housing with new filter and the primed oil, and we will screw it back into its receptacle. Now we can take the oil filter housing wrench, put that back on there, and then we can set it to final torque. The final torque is written right on the housing itself. It's 25 newton meters or 18.5 foot-pounds. Okay, now we're back on the top side because we are all done underneath now that we've got the drain plug and the oil filter housing secured and torqued. So what we'll do is we'll just take our new oil and just start pouring it in. Alright, so we are done refilling this, and I'm going to go ahead and just put the oil fill cap back on. Okay, so now we're in the car, and let's see what level the instrument cluster says we're at on the fill. The owner of this car likes to try and set it so that it's about one tick below the full mark. Okay, so there you see it. Oil level looks good, and we actually measured how much oil we drained out, and it was a little bit more than 7.5 quarts. And I think it was actually 7 quarts and 20 ounces. Okay, so now that we're done with all of the hardware part of changing the oil, now we have to do the software part. And with Porsche, you need this Durametric tool, which is this special OBD2 interface to USB and also software on the laptop. There are other tools as well that can do this function, like some from Schwaben or some other scan tools that go through the OBD2 port. Alright, now that we're in the computer, let's go ahead and launch Durametric. You do need to run this as administrator. If you don't, things won't work. Then we can go ahead and select our vehicle. Then we'll go to the instrument cluster folder on the left. And then we can go to commands and reset the service reminder. And that's it. We've reset the car. The car will take a little bit of while to measure everything, and then we should be good.